Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get you informed on topics that truly shape our world. Today, we're plunging into a market that might sound a little niche, maybe, but it's absolutely foundational to the global economy. We're talking about the global olefin market.
Yeah, olefins, you can think of them as like the basic Lego bricks for the petrochemical industry.
Exactly. They're the building blocks for so many things around us: plastics, packaging, synthetic fabrics, even medical devices.
Right. And this market, it's way bigger than most people probably imagine.
It really is.
So our mission today is basically to unpack the key numbers, look at the main regions driving things, and, get a handle on where it's all headed. And all our insights are coming straight from the global olefin market. Trends and Forecasts to 2033 report by Cognitive Market Research. It gives us a pretty clear roadmap.
And when I say big, I mean genuinely massive.
Right.
This report puts the global olefin market value at, what, an astounding $215 billion back in 2021.
Yep, $215.725 billion to be precise.
Wow. It's one of those huge industrial sectors that kind of operates behind the scenes, but it underpins so much of modern life.
And what's really fascinating here isn't just the size right now, but the projected growth. It's pretty consistent. That initial $215 billion plus figure, it's set to climb to about $256 billion by 2025.
Oh, yeah?
And then push on to an impressive $360.089 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That represents a really robust compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of just over 4.3%, 4.362% technically.
That's significant expansion,
Yeah.
especially for such a foundational market that's already so large. Okay, let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah.
How does a market this immense keep growing at that kind of healthy pace?
Well, it really points to an overall global expansion, doesn't it? Industrial demand, consumer needs.
For sure. But I guess this growth isn't, like, spread evenly across the whole world.
No, not at all. That's where it gets really interesting. The regional breakdown tells a very different story in different places.
Right.
Yeah, the growth narrative, it varies quite a bit by region. It reflects, different stages of industrial development, changing consumption patterns, where the investment is going. It's not just about building more factories. It's about a shifting global economy.
And looking at those regions, what just jumps out immediately is Asia Pacific. It's the powerhouse, right?
Oh, absolutely. Undisputed.
The report shows it surging from nearly $119 billion back in 2021.
$118.649 billion.
Yeah, all the way to a remarkable $207 billion, over $207 billion by 2033.
207.771 billion. Yeah. And look at the CAGR there.
Almost 4.8%. That's the highest regional growth rate.
4.788%. It's significantly higher than the global average. It really tells you where the world's industrial engine is, humming.
So who's driving that huge growth within Asia Pacific?
Well, it's largely down to a few key players and their specific economic situations. China, for instance. It's still the largest single player in the region. It's projected to grow from over $34 billion in 2021.
$34.5 billion, roughly.
To more than almost $62 billion by 2033. The sheer scale is one thing, but also their strategic industrial policies keep driving massive internal demand for these basic materials like olefins.
Right, it's foundational for their manufacturing.
Exactly. And Japan is also a major contributor, moving from just over $20 billion, $20.6 billion, to nearly $34 billion, $33.78 billion by 2033, driven by its, very sophisticated manufacturing sector.
Okay, but you mentioned standouts for growth. India seems to be the one really accelerating there.
Absolutely. India's growth rate is fascinating. It's got the strongest country-specific CAGR in the region, 5.661%.
Wow, almost 5.7%. What's behind that?
It's often linked to its rapidly growing manufacturing sector, fast urbanization and expanding middle class,
Yeah.
all driving demand for everything from packaging to cars. It's projected to expand from almost $16 billion, $15.899 billion in 2021 to over $30 billion, $30.75 billion by 2033.
Huge jump.
Yeah. And South Korea is also a major player, going from about $11 billion to nearly $18 billion.
Right.
And then by 2033, you've also got pretty significant markets in Australia. That's over $10 billion. Singapore, around $7.4 billion. Southeast Asia, collectively around $15.6 billion. Taiwan, over $10 billion. And the rest of APAC adding another $20 billion plus. It's just huge across the board there.
That incredible growth in Asia Pacific really sets the scene. Okay, let's shift gears. How does North America's more established economy fit into this? Are the drivers similar, or are there maybe different factors at play?
Well, over in North America, we're seeing steady growth too, definitely. Their market's expected to climb from nearly $33 billion in 2021
$32.79 billion.
to over $37 billion by 2025, and then reaching almost $48 billion by 2033. So $47.892 billion.
Okay, so still growing, but maybe not quite the explosive rate of APAC.
Right. The CAGR there is just under 3.2%, 3.197%. It's solid, reflecting a mature but still expanding industrial base. Strong domestic demand, too.
And within North America, I assume the U.S. is leading the charge.
Oh, yeah, predictably. The United States led the region with just over $26 billion in 2021.
$26.035 billion.
And it's expected to reach over $37.5 billion by 2033. That reflects its diverse industrial base and, ongoing innovation in materials.
Makes sense. And Canada and Mexico.
Canada also shows solid growth. It goes from nearly $4 billion, $3.9 billion in 2021 to an estimated $6.1 billion by 2033, often tied to its energy sector and manufacturing base.
Okay.
And Mexico is projected to rise from nearly $3 billion, $2.85 billion in 2021 to over $4.2 billion by 2033, often benefiting from those manufacturing links with the U.S.
Got it. So North America showing consistent, strong growth. How about Europe? Where does it slot into this global olefin picture, especially thinking about their focus on sustainability and maybe advanced manufacturing?
Europe's olefin market, it was valued at nearly $22 billion in 2021, $21.788 billion.
Okay.
And it's projected to grow to over $32 billion by 2033. That gives it an annual growth rate of about 3.4%, 3.379%.
So similar pace to North America, roughly.
Pretty much. Its growth isn't as explosive as Asia's, obviously, but it's steady, it's significant, often driven by those high-value applications and, like you said, continuous innovation.
And within Europe, who are the main players? Germany, the UK.
Yeah, Germany is set to be a very significant contributor. It's rising from over $4.2 billion to nearly $6.7 billion by 2033. That's largely thanks to its strong auto and chemical industries.
Right.
The UK is also notable, increasing from just over $3.1 billion to almost $4.8 billion.
Okay.
France is expected to grow from about $2.5 billion to nearly $3.5 billion.
And beyond the big three.
Well, what's interesting in Europe is you have this collection of other highly industrialized nations. Italy, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland. They all add up. By 2033, Italy is projected at $3.3 billion, Spain $3.1 billion, Sweden over $2 billion. Even smaller countries like Denmark and Luxembourg contribute significantly relative to their size.
So it's quite distributed across the continent.
Exactly. It reflects a robust, though perhaps more mature industrial base, and they are grappling with that push for, circular economies and recycled materials too, which might shape future demand patterns.
That's a good point. Okay, let's head south now. What does the report tell us about South America's olefin market? What are the drivers there?
South America's market is actually set to rise quite substantially, from nearly $19 billion in 2021, $18.768 billion,
Okay.
up to over $32 billion by 2033, $32.127 billion.
That's a pretty big increase.
It is. The growth there is often tied to things like infrastructure development, growing consumer markets, and also agricultural demand for various plastic products like films and pipes.
And who's leading in South America? Brazil.
Brazil's definitely identified as the leader,
Yeah.
projected to reach over $12.4 billion by 2033. Big population, diverse industries driving that.
Right.
Argentina follows, expected near $6.6 billion. And then Colombia, Peru, Chile, they also contribute significantly. They're projected between roughly $2.6 and $3.9 billion each by 2033.
Got it. Okay, next up, the Middle East. Always a huge player in petrochemicals, given the oil and gas resources. What are the forecasts saying there?
Yeah, the Middle East olefin market is expected to grow from nearly $16.4 billion in 2021 to almost $27.8 billion by 2033.
And I guess that's closely linked to their resource wealth.
Absolutely. With abundant feedstock from oil and gas, many countries there are really investing heavily in downstream petrochemicals, trying to add more value rather than just exporting crude oil.
Makes sense. So who are the leaders there? Saudi Arabia, I assume.
For sure. Saudi Arabia is projected to reach over $8 billion by 2033, really cementing its place as a global petrochem hub.
Okay.
Turkey is actually set to hit nearly $5.8 billion, the UAE over $4.4 billion. And Egypt and Qatar are also significant players, projected around $4.2 billion and $2.5 billion, respectively.
Interesting mix there. Okay, last region, Africa. What's the outlook for olefins there, considering the continent's, very diverse economic stages?
Africa is also projected for significant expansion, actually. The market there is forecasted to grow from just over $7.3 billion in 2021.
$7.335 billion.
To nearly $12.5 billion by 2033. $12.463 billion.
So substantial growth there, too.
Yeah, it reflects increasing industrialization in parts of the continent, urbanization, the rise of a consumer class, all driving demand for basic materials, construction goods, consumer products.
And any specific countries leading the way?
South Africa emerges as a key market, projected at nearly $5.3 billion by 2033, leveraging its more developed industrial base.
Okay.
Nigeria follows, projected around $1.7 billion. But then the rest of Africa category is actually quite substantial, over $5.5 billion, which indicates pretty widespread, even if varied, development across the continent.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We're talking about a global olefin market already huge at over $215 billion in 2021, projected to soar past $360 billion by 2033.
That's the big picture number, yeah.
And Asia-Pacific is just the undeniable titan leading that charge. China, India, with that incredible growth rate, Japan, they're massive.
Absolutely dominant.
But other regions, North America, Europe, South America, the Middle East, Africa, they're all showing substantial growth too, even if the pace varies.
That's right. Consistent growth pretty much everywhere.
So what does this incredible expansion, especially in these really fundamental industrial building blocks, what does it actually mean for you, our listener? Why should you care about olefin market numbers?
Well, I think understanding these kinds of foundational industrial trends gives you a really unique shortcut, actually, to being well-informed about bigger global economic shifts. Even if a sector seems really far removed from your daily life, like petrochemicals, the demand for these olefins, it underpins countless products and processes that, you interact with constantly.
Right.
This isn't just about obscure chemicals in a factory somewhere. It's literally the building blocks of modern materials, the packaging on your food, components in your car, your phone.
It really highlights how connected our daily lives are to these huge global industrial movements, even if we don't always see it directly.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Given this really substantial, sustained growth we're seeing projected for olefins, what does that imply about global industrialization trends over the next decade? Or about infrastructure development? Or just the sheer ongoing demand for the basic building blocks of modern stuff? And maybe what new innovations might come out of this? Perhaps new ways to make these materials, or even recycle them, given that ever-expanding chemical foundation. Something to ponder.
Okay, here's something to think about. What if we told you that the quiet, unseen forces behind almost everything in your daily life, from the lightweight parts in your car to, say, the packaging protecting your latest online order, what if that all connects back to a single, surprisingly vital industrial backbone? Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a truly insightful plunge into the global olefin market. It sounds technical, I know, but it's genuinely one of the foundational pillars of modern industry, a critical, often overlooked player in petrochemicals and plastics.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is to cut through all that complexity. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts, and definitely the key insights about this really crucial market. Think of it as, your shortcut to understanding why something you might not even heard of is shaping so much of our world.
Right. And just so you know, every piece of insight, all the data we're sharing today, it comes straight from the rigorous research of cognitive market research. So, it's solid information we're working with here.
Precisely, yeah. We'll be navigating the powerful currents shaping this market. Things like the surging, almost insatiable demand for its products, right through to the really innovative green technologies that are actually redefining its future.
Okay, brilliant. Let's unpack this then. Let's dive right into what's really pushing this market forward, the key drivers, what's pushing demand up. It might sound simple, but maybe one of the biggest forces here is just the sheer escalating demand from packaging and automotive sectors. Olefins, specifically things like ethylene and propylene, they're the absolute fundamental building blocks for polyethylene and polypropylene.
And, if we connect that to your everyday experience, it becomes really clear. Polyethylene, for instance. That's everything from plastic bags to milk jugs. Polycopylene, that's in sturdy food containers, car bumpers, that sort of thing. What's really fascinating, I think, is how the whole e-commerce boom has created this, huge demand for packaging. It's massive. It's forcing a reevaluation of how we source and process these base materials. And at the same time, the auto industry, they're not just looking for any materials. They need lighter, more durable, and importantly, more recyclable components. For efficiency, for sustainability goals,
Olefins are kind of perfect for these needs.
Hmm. Okay. So beyond the box on your doorstep or parts in your car, there's another critical factor. You mentioned their growing use in other petrochemical products, like downstream chemicals.
Exactly. Downstream chemicals like ethylene oxide and acrylonitrile, and for anyone less familiar, those downstream chemicals, they become key ingredients in, well, all sorts of things. Synthetic rubbers, like in your tires.
Mm.
Surfactants, the stuff that makes your soap foam up. Solvents for industrial processes. It's a long list. And this matters because we're seeing this rapid, almost explosive growth in petrochemical industries, especially across Asia Pacific and the Middle East. And that growth is directly fueling this global demand for olefins. It's all connected.
Okay, here's where you said it gets really interesting, almost like a plot twist. The shift to new energy sources, shale gas,
Yeah.
and these new cracking technologies.
Absolutely. It really is a twist. I mean, before shale gas took off, many observers thought North America's chemical manufacturing was, maybe on a steady decline. But the surprise, the abundance of ethane from shale gas didn't just boost energy supplies. It fundamentally reshaped global chemical production. It turned North America into this unexpected powerhouse for cost-efficient ethylene production. And what's more, these innovations in processes, things like steam cracking, catalytic processes, they aren't just boosting output, they're also cutting emissions. So production becomes more profitable and significantly more sustainable. It's a double win, really.
But, okay, like any huge market, it can't all be smooth sailing, right? The global olefin market must face some pretty significant headwinds, too. Challenges, what we call the restraints.
Oh, definitely. And one of the primary restraints, it's a big one, is crude oil price volatility. You see, many olefins are derived from naphtha. And naphtha is a petroleum product.
Right.
So any sharp fluctuation in global oil prices, that directly hits the feedstock costs for olefin producers, and that in turn impacts their downstream pricing. It just creates a really challenging environment for, strategic planning, long-term investment.
Makes it tough.
Right. And then on top of those economic pressures, you've got the increasing environmental and regulatory stuff.
Sure.
I mean, let's be honest, olefin manufacturing, historically anyway, has been pretty energy intensive. It's got a notable emissions footprint.
And that raises a really important question for the industry, doesn't it? How does such a vital sector balance its necessary output with, well, its environmental responsibility? We're seeing stricter global regulations now, carbon output, plastic waste. For instance, you look at Europe's REACH regulations, strict rules on chemicals. They're pushing for expensive upgrades. And then there are the broader global ESG, environmental, social governance expectations. Everyone's pushing for cleaner operations, which is absolutely necessary, of course. But these demands, they often significantly impact profit margins for the producers.
So, okay, with those headwinds, the price swings, the green pressure, what does this all mean for the future of, let's say, traditional olefins? Are we seeing a shift maybe towards bio-based alternatives, the circular economy idea?
That's right. It's happening, albeit maybe slowly for now. As consumers and regulators, too, increasingly favor greener, more sustainable materials. Well, innovations like chemical recycling, new biodegradable plastics, they are slowly encroaching on the traditional olefin markets. Now, it's important to say, these technologies, they're still in relatively early stages of development, let's be clear on that, but they certainly pose a potential long-term disruption if traditional producers don't adapt, innovate, and maybe embrace them more fully. Right. So challenges, but also shifts. Let's pivot then to the forces that are actively redefining the market now, the key trends shaping its future. Yeah. Okay. One of the biggest, most visible trends is just the massive capacity expansion happening in Asia Pacific and the Middle East. Countries like China, India, Saudi Arabia, they are investing staggering amounts of money, building these huge integrated petrochemical hubs. It's not just to meet their own rising domestic demand either. They're aiming to become central players in the global supply chain.
And these aren't just small additions, are they? We're talking mega complexes. You mentioned places like Zhejiang in China, Jubail in Saudi Arabia, becoming crucial links.
Absolutely crucial. They are effectively shifting the entire geographical center of gravity for global olefin production. That's a major shift.
Wow, okay. And on the operational side, what's changing how these places actually run?
Well, what's truly transforming things there is the integration of digital tech, Industry 4.0 technologies. This is fundamentally changing how these massive facilities operate day to day.
It sounds pretty advanced. What kind of tech are we talking about?
Oh, it's incredible, really. Everything from advanced process control, predictive analytics that can foresee potential issues before they happen, all the way to AI-driven operations. These technologies, they're letting olefin manufacturers
upgrade their facilities to, well, maximize efficiency, drastically cut down time, and significantly boost output. And they could do this in real time. It's a complete game changer for productivity, for costs.
Okay, efficiency, new hubs. What about the green angle again? Is that also a major trend?
Yes, definitely. And perhaps the most profound shift, maybe almost philosophical, it's this move toward carbon neutral and genuinely green olefin production. This is really laying the groundwork, I think, for an entirely new era in the industry.
So it's all about sustainability now. That sounds genuinely exciting.
It is. We're seeing huge investments in technologies like green hydrogen using renewables to split water, advanced carbon capture systems to trap emissions, even electrified steam cracking powering traditional processes with clean electricity. All these efforts are driving the production of what people are calling green ethylene.
Yeah.
And these initiatives, you see them particularly strong in North America and Europe. They're a clear signal. The industry is taking environmental responsibility not just seriously, but like as a core part of its future strategy.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big picture takeaway from our deep dive?
Well, I think the global olefin market finds itself at a truly pivotal moment, a real crossroads. It's kind of delicately poised, between this strong, consistent industrial demand for its essential products and the rising, undeniable sustainability challenges that are reshaping, well, every single industry on the planet. What seems clear from the research is that relentless innovation and strategic investment are leading the way. They're guiding the industry to adapt and adapt rapidly to meet those twin goals: economic efficiency and that profound environmental responsibility.
So a final thought then. As you, our listener, look around at all the plastics, the everyday materials touching your life, your phone case, maybe that water bottle, even insulation in your home, what future do you envision for these absolutely essential molecular building blocks? How will they keep evolving? Caught as they are between that constant industrial demand and this urgent global push for a greener tomorrow. Something to think about.